All right.
So Texas Southern began in 1927 as the Houston Colored Junior College.
Tell us who you are, Mr. Collins.
Okay, Will Carter.
Mr. Carter, I'm sorry.
That's Will Carter, graduate of Fisk University, 1957, but a longtime resident of Houston, born in Houston, March 8th, 1937. So in my growing up here, I began to know some of the history. I grew up in First Ward. In those days, there were 6 wards. First Ward was mixed. Second Ward was mostly Mexicans. Third Ward was black. Fourth Ward was black. Fifth Ward was black. Sixth Ward was mostly white, which exists between, we'll say, Houston Avenue along Washington Avenue border to the east, I think it would be, no, to the south. Houston Avenue ran east and west and up to another street up by Yale Street, nearly Yale Street, was 6th Ward, but it was mostly white. Now, part of that First Ward, we called it High First, from Houston Avenue for about 3 blocks, and south of Houston Avenue, east of Houston Avenue, west of Houston Avenue for about 3 or 4 blocks, and east of Houston Avenue about 4 blocks. But that was First Ward. And in our neighborhood, there were some Jews across the street, Italian on one side of the street, on Holly Street.
Now this was First Ward, right?
First Ward.
Okay.
Was a Jewish guy, Mashinsky, who had a shoe shop. And there were some Devorovskys around the corner from where I grew up on Holly Street. And there was a German woman, Miss Al Kelly, nearby. But as it moved forward towards Houston Avenue, it was mostly whites, almost all whites. Whereas on the lower part, Holly Street, and on either side of Holly, and lower part, it was there were colored at that time, African Americans as they are now. Anyway, there was an elementary school out there at First Ward, Brock, B-R-O-C-K, Brock Elementary School, and we all went to Brock Elementary School. But to get to Brock, which was on
now, was it integrated to a certain extent?
No, not at all.
Okay.
We walked past this 2-story brick white elementary school, Hawthorne, to get up to our 2-story wooden, falling down wooden building but no, it was not. We played together in the evenings, played together on the weekends. Going to school, we were separated. We all went to Brock. They went to Hawthorne Elementary School. But no, those are the days of serious segregation.
Okay. Then what, middle school, junior high school did you attend?
Washington, I went, Booker T. Washington was senior high.
Okay.
6th grade through the 11th grade. Later in Houston, they added a 12th grade.
Right.
But originally from 7th to 11th, and then you had 7th, 8th, 9th, junior high, and then 10th, 11th, 12th. Okay,
now you didn't finish from Washington. You explained to me that there was a program then that you were able to attend Fisk once you left the 10th grade. Would you explain that to us, please?
Now, that was a program by the Ford Foundation, Ford Motor Car. Also had their educational foundation. Anyway, they made a study about 1950 or so with some big white schools, and they found out, they made this study. As a result of it, they felt that high school students who could pass a battery of college tests, were doing well in high school, passed this battery of tests, after the 10th grade, rather than having the 11th and 12th grade, and then 4 years in college, 6 years, they would go to college for 5 years. And that's what I was involved in. In 1952, I went to Fisk University, and not having gone to the 11th and 12th, went there after the 10th grade. I have no high school diploma because I didn't graduate from high school. So I went to Fisk for 5 years, gaining 1 year, rather than 2 years more in high school. 11th and 12th grade, 4 years of college. I went to college for 5 years. Now those involved in the program at Fisk University and Morehouse were the only HBCUs involved in the program. Now after the 11th grade, you would go, rather than finishing the 12th grade, you would go to college for 4 years. You gained 1 year.
Under this program?
Under that program. Now, at Fisk University, that program more or less ended around 1957. And the reason was the president of Fisk at University at that time, Charles Spurgeon Johnson, died of a heart attack. He was out raising money for Fisk and was taking a train, changing trains in Louisville, Kentucky. Had a heart attack and died. His successor told the fellow who was in charge of this program, which is called the Basic College, BASIC, Basic College. He told him that that program was Johnson's program. I'm not interested in it, so I want you to shut it down, and you may leave soon thereafter.
Wow.
That was 1957. I had no idea when it ended at Morehouse.
Okay. Okay, now tell me a little bit about the junior college that started at Jack Yates at night, yes, and then came into TSU.
1927. It was called the Houston Colored Junior College in 1927. And then it became the Houston College for Negroes in 1934. But the classes, Jack Yates High School on Elgin Street here in the 3rd Ward, was a high school during the day. It was a college at night. So that went on until 1947. And a fellow named Heman, Heman, not Herman, but Heman Sweat, Sweatt, and another guy came out of the Second World War. They were college graduates. So Mr. Sweat and this other fellow applied to go to the University of Texas. Well, it was a big court case. And as a result of that court case, Texas decided they would build Texas State University for Negroes in 1947.
Okay.
Here on the same campus where Texas Southern is located now. In 1951, it became Texas Southern University, but originally 1951. It was Houston State University for Negroes.
And that was about the time that they built this Canfield Oaks, am I correct?
Around the same time. Canfield Oaks, we moved here. We were among the first people to move in 1950. And it was called Canfield Oaks. It was built from scratch, but all for African Americans here in the area where we are now.
Okay, and from Blodgett all the way back to South McGregor, there was only whites and Jews, is that correct?
That is correct. And once Canfield Oaks started with all African Americans, then a lot of the real estate people were Jews. So they started selling a house here, a house there, to Negroes. Well, that got word around, so therefore the whites started moving out, and they sold their houses between Blodgett,
Wentworth
and,
on back.
Wentworth, what's the other streets over
Rosedale, Southmore, Prospect.
Went as far as North McGregor.
Right.
I'm sorry, South
McGregor.
South McGregor. And that's how Negroes began to buy over in that areas. All the whites left. And that left all of this area, which is an increased size of 3rd Ward, for Negroes at that time.
Right. So another question. In the 3rd Ward for blacks, this Canfield Oaks was probably the first subdivision,
correct,
of its kind for blacks.
Right.
And it was the first population of blacks to move across Wheeler, which
yes,
runs into Richmond.
Now, in the area closer to Dowling Street, between Dowling and, say, Ennis,
mm-hmm,
that was called Sugar Hill in those days, okay, where mostly people of substance, of some wealth, doctors, moved into Sugar Hill.
Is that near Emancipation Park now?
Near the Emancipation Park.
Okay.
Beginning over around the Emancipation Park, around Darwin Street, over as far as Wheeler, and moving towards Southmore.
Okay.
And that was called Sugar Hill in those days. Only old folks around would remember that was Sugar Hill.
Right. I remember hearing about that. Now, I see you have some yearbooks there from 1949
and 1948.
Texas Southern University.
And as I have shown this to people, when some African Americans come here to work, I show them that it started. The Texas State University for Negroes established 1947, as you see here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Who was president at that time, does it say?
Yes.
I'm sure it does.
What is his name? Lanier.
Okay.
H. Lamar Lanier.
Right, and that's Lanier Hall there at Texas Southern.
That's right, named for the first president.
Oh, okay. Black president. All right. And the other yearbook there is 19...
This is 1948, which was the second year. It was established in 1947, and this, as you saw in the other one, as it says, Texas State University for Negroes.
Wow.
Established 1947.
Now, had they started building over where they're at now?
Buildings, yes, they started. And in fact, in those days, they even had at Texas Southern, they had a school for auto mechanics. They didn't really charge anything, but you could go there and get your car repaired. Those at that days, usually it was the small cars, not the big cars like Cadillacs and so forth, but Fords, Chevrolets, and so forth. You could get them repaired there for a very small price because the students needed cars to work on. So it was mutually beneficial.
Right.
You would get your car worked on. They would have students who could learn mechanics and eventually get sort of a certificate of graduating from there.
Now, a lot of I know you finished from Fisk. You've explained that. Do you know anything about where the majority of the professors came to Texas Southern from? Were they Prairie View graduates or all over?
From other HBCUs around the country. I got to know a number of them. They had finished, say, from in North Carolina, or maybe one or two from Fisk, but various colleges around. But in those days, all of the professors at Texas Southern were African American.
Right. I know we had a few in Canfield Oaks. We had Dr. Bullock.
That's right.
Dr. Biggers.
Now, Biggers, little did I know, he lived 2 houses from me. I knew that he was an artist, that he painted, but had no idea that he would become so famous.
Right.
We did. In the neighborhood, we knew that he was a painter, but no idea of his talent.
Right. I recall he used to throw some of his paintings he thought was not good enough out in the garbage, and had we known,
we would have saved it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But yes, Biggers became a very well-known. He did a lot of murals over at Texas Southern. And one of the, probably looking back, one of the most well-known African-American artists, painters.
And we also had in the neighborhood Marjorie Stewart. She lived on Rosewood.
Dr. Bowie.
Dr. A.E. Bowie, right. Physician right on the corner there. And one other question that I've always, that runs to mind since you're a little older than I am, what significant changes have